Welcome back to our channel. Today we're going to have a look at chapter 6, the first part of chapter 6 from the book My System by Aron Nimzowitsch. So this particular theme deals with centralization in the endgame. So chapter 6 talks about elements of the endgame. And the first part here, in this video, we're going to have a look at three different positions. The first one is very basic. Now, the whole idea is in the end game, as we know, we want to bring the kings forward. Before that, what do you think white should play? The correct move here is knight d4. First of all, this particular pawn is an isolated pawn. As a result, the pawn is unable to attack the knight. Neither is the bishop able to attack the knight. So the knight is in a very ideal position. The second point is the knight and the pawn is actually preventing the white king coming forward. So the first part of the plan is now achieved. The second part is for white to simply bring the king forward and have a very good endgame. Technically speaking, this is still a drawish endgame, but the author just wanted to emphasize on the fact that it's very important to centralize your pieces and then bring your king forward in the endgame. This particular position, the author wants to emphasize on the fact the concept of shelter in the endgame. So shelters are needed, especially during king and rook endgames with pawns. So here, this particular endgame is being discussed in more detail in my series 100 Endgames You Must Know by Jesus de la Villa. I would put a link in the description. Please have a look at it, and it's discussed in much more detail, but we'll briefly have a look at this. Here, if you simply play a7 as white, then rook a2, and as you can see, white's king will simply run out of squares because black is able to simply give checks as much as possible. And as you can see, the a7 pawn is unable to be promoted. The whole idea behind that is because the rook simply cannot move away from a8. And if the king simply comes forward or backwards, black simply gives checks, as we had a look. So a7 is the incorrect move. Let's have a look. So what is the correct move? The correct move is king b6. The whole idea is to simply use this a7 square as a shelter for the king. And here, after king a7, we have rook b2. Simply white offers a trade of rooks. Black will simply deny that. But now, after king b7, now as you can see, white is simply able to promote the pawn, and this is a winning endgame. Now all this was possible because of this king b6 move, and the a7 square acted as a shelter. Another point I wanted to point out is that this black king was far away from the activity. This final position is also discussed in more details from my video series 100 Endgames You Must Know by Jesus de la Villa. I'll put a link in the description. This is called bridge building, or also known as Lucena position, which is a popular position now, which all club players have to know about. Now here, the first move here for white is to play rook e2. You want to force the king to go to the d file, and once that is done, we have rook e4. The whole idea is to build a bridge so that this pawn on g7 is able to be promoted. Now I want to, before we go ahead, I just wanted to, instead of king d6, what happens if they play king f6? If they play king f6, now black's king acts as a shelter for white's king. So white simply plays king f8, and as you can see, this pawn is now going to be promoted, and this is a winning endgame for white. So that is not possible, and as a result we need to play king d6. Once that is done, we simply play rook e4, and if here rook f1, we simply come forward with the king. Black may think that they have too many checks, but that's not possible, because after this particular check we have rook g4, and as you can see, black is unable to be prevent the pawn queening on g8. Now as we go ahead, after rook e4, instead of rook f1. What if they play king d5 attacking the rook? If they do so, you simply have to move the rook to g4, and when the king comes to e6 again, now we have king f8. And you might be thinking, what if you give a check? Now we simply use the same previous example, the same concept again, which is sheltering, and now the black king acts as a shelter for white king, and this pawn is unable to be prevented from queening. I hope you enjoy this video. For more videos like this, please like and subscribe, and it's bye for now.